Hey, fan wiring. So we meet again. What's going on, guys? It's Monday morning. It's actually kind of nice outside. The fog just burnt off. So, this morning's agenda, I'm building my cooling fan relay bank, getting that bench wired first so then I can transfer it in there. We've got to wire the horns in. Saturday, I got the washer pump all wired. Everything's working. I aimed the nozzles because they were like shooting inside the cowl. Let's see, what else did we get done? Hold on a sec. Pause. Columns in temporarily. Waiting for Noah to get here because he's got a spacer that he made so we can sandwich this thing in here. And we have to make sure the column has a good ground because right now, as you can see, the column isn't grounded, which means all the lights will work, but the horn won't work. That we're going to make sure that makes contact within this bracket here, and that's all good. The only other thing we got to do is I had to pull out my directional lever in here because the screw for the lever was actually making contact with the bottom of the horn pad. What do you call it? I don't know. I guess you can call it the clock spring in this car, since it doesn't have a clock spring because it's old. But it was making contact with that, and it was actually giving power to everywhere on the column that was supposed to be grounded. So thank God the column wasn't grounded, or that might have been an issue, because when you put power and ground together, they kind of don't really react well with each other. So we've got to pull this hub back off, and I've got to figure out, there's a missing spacer that's supposed to go underneath the horn coil here to lift it up a little bit so it clears all that. And that'll be good. I cleaned up almost all the wiring underneath the driver's side. I almost said passenger, except for my high beam switch that needs to get mounted to the floor and run under the rug. And this is my reverse light wiring, which I've got to wire up. And then once Noah gets here, he's going to drill a hole for the drain tube for the vintage air and a second hole to pass through this harness for the coolant flow shutoff for when the AC is on into the heater core. It doesn't flow coolant. And then that whole side can be cleaned up and put in. We can put the glove box back in with, I think I already showed you my handy dandy OBD2/BIM mount port. And then we can put the Alcantara vintage air diffuser back up here, and then we're done. And then the seat can go in, and then we can go in the air, and I can start making all these brake lines, all custom from the front to back, because nothing factory is going to work with this thing. And then bleed the brakes, and I think we're good to try, around the lot test drive, just to make sure everything is functioning and working good and there's no leaks. And we can go from there. But for right now, I'm going to do the super duper boring thing, and I'm going to terminate all my ends and get everything all done on my fan relay bank here so I can reinstall it here and wire all my fans up so I can actually let this run and do a full heat cycle and set my high temperature switch too for the fans, because right now I've just been letting it run till 180 and then shutting it down just to make sure everything runs good. And then we've got to loom and neaten up all this wiring here. I just want to loom all the red stuff black because it'll kind of make it hide and disappear within the engine bay itself. And I think that's it. We're in pretty good shape. And as soon as Noah gets here, he's also going to make our steering shaft. So we've got all the parts to that somewhere around. And then we've got to make our shift rod as well, which we got to do the steering shaft first so we know where we're going around with the shift rod. And then I can start also, like I said, on the brake lines after all that stuff's in there. All the important stuff goes in first, and the brake lines are after, because they're small, they're 3/16" tube. We can clearance those around everything. All right, let's get to the fun stuff. Well, the dashboard is completely assembled, with the exception of the radio trim ring. I got to throw that on there. Everything is cleaned up, tightened up, tucked up underneath that needs to be. I already told you about those two wires. My OBD2 port, unplugged. You can scan it for codes and whatnot, like at the 2014 Mustang, but your dash won't work. Plug this back in, and your dash will read. One of the few little things I like to do. This does look so awesome in Alcantara. He also has the side kick panel pieces that are done in Alcantara. I believe they're with him at the shop. And we just have to tuck and clean up all the splash guard down there. And then clean all this crap out of here. Noah is currently welding the steering column bracket on the bottom of the column. And then we're going to final mount that in there. And then we can put the seat in after. Oh my God, guys. Another day this thing fought me all day. So I'm almost done wiring up my fan wiring, but that got put on hold for 3 hours. Because for 3 hours we fought with getting the steering shaft lined up and made. I'm still going to actually loosen the motor and shift it ever so slightly that way. But the biggest thing was the shift rod. 3 hours it took to get that shift rod bent the correct way, to get the cam bolted onto the end of the column the correct way, so that everything would work and it would go into all the gears and not overshoot. Like sometimes you'll get it so when you put it in drive, your shift arm, the cam, will be in line with the rod and will allow it to do all this kind of crap. But now we've got park. I don't know how well can... Let me put this behind here. Maybe you can see better. No, can't even get that to stay there. Well, you're going to have to just trust me here. We got park, reverse, neutral, drive, and that's it. So there's a lock down there that won't let you go any further than drive. And that is because we are not using sport mode on this, manual mode, which you will need either paddles or just a up-down button, whatever, to shift through. We're not using that, so Fat Fender Garage offers a block off that stops you at D so you don't accidentally shift down into sport/manual mode. But I showed you everything's in. Yeah, I noticed that these were a little deformed. They were right out of the box, so I've got these in here. Hopefully overnight sitting like that will straighten those out, so those are good. I am going to finish my fan wiring, set my high temperature switch, then go into the tune and set my low temperature switch and let it warm up outside and make sure that's all good. And then we are grabbing as much of the crap as we need, because the car or truck is going back, if I can get out of here, to Ferrari tomorrow. And tomorrow, or Wednesday actually, because I think I'm taking a day off tomorrow because I'm beat after today. We will be doing the brake lines, getting that completely plumbed, bled, the whole 9 yards. Putting rear end fluid in it, differential fluid, because there's none in it right now, and doing the alignment. And I already know I'm going to get the alignment done. I'm going to have to pull the steering wheel off of the cam of the splines and reset that, because it's nowhere close to being right now. And then we're going to take care of a bunch of other small stuff there. I've been doing as much looming as I can, little by little. I've actually been looming all this stuff. I got to get the big piece of loom to do this, and I've been looming all the fan stuff as I'm doing it, so we won't have to do it after the fact. But yeah, it's been a kick-ass day, and by kick-ass I mean kicking my ass. So let me get going on the fan controllers or relays, and once that's done, I can let it run outside and warm completely up and heat cycle, and then we can actually hear this thing fully warmed up, get the cooling system bled all the way up through the HVAC and all that stuff, and put it on a trailer to bring it to Ferrari. Which I think that's Joe showing up right now. Yeah, it is. That's boss man right now. All right, let me get back to work. Fucking, what do you call it? The fucking Russian. Fuck, baby. Huh? No, if it was, if you have it, I guess either done early enough Wednesday or whatever, then I gotta fucking reach out to the call. They're trying to pick up Wednesday. I'm fighting that fucking shit.
Johnson still hadn't had the California done,
Yeah, I kind of figured.
but he said he wasn't leaving tonight till he was driving it. I said, well, you're doing brakes with Joe. I'll drive that car and get it fucking squared away.